Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, your podcast dedicated to all things Animal Crossing. This episode is brought to you by Tab, one of our newest Patreon patrons. Today, Sergio and I will be discussing the real lack of Animal Crossing news and the lack of Nintendo Direct news, and then we're going to do something really rare, and that's complain about Animal Crossing, because times are tough right now. So to begin, hello Sergio, how you doing?
Hello, Chewy. I'm doing quite well. It's been a couple of busy days, but what about yourself?
Pretty good. Spent the weekend playing a Splatoon 2 tournament, so it was like a 2-day thing. Yeah, Saturday was just like placement into certain brackets. We got into silver, and then today we played the whole day. It was long.
Oh.
We did really well though. We lost to the team that eventually won it all. It was close. It was 2-3. So we went to game 5, and it was a very close match.
Nice.
But yeah, outside of that, I'm just waiting because there is still no Animal Crossing Direct. So I've been doing comparisons. I think I talked to you a little bit about them. And what better game to compare Animal Crossing to than Smash? Because, you know, Smash got a lot of love last year.
Right.
And I don't think I'd be sad if Animal Crossing were to get that much love, you know?
Right.
So just as a bit of a comparison, I took a look at when Smash was revealed, essentially like when we knew they were working on Smash.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a look at when they first showed us Smash, because the first thing was like the little teaser. We got to see Inklings running around, and they were awesome. I love Splatoon, so no complaints from me there. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Smash logo shows up in Inkling's eyeball. So, anyway, so that whole reveal was on March 8th, 2018. And then eventually at E3, we got to see, you know, that Smash Direct. I know there were other things, but it was a Smash Direct. So E3 was on June 12th. So that's a 96-day wait, which is pretty long, you know, but it didn't really quite get into triple digits. No past 100s,
right.
You know. So Animal Crossing Switch, to be specific, was revealed on September 13th, 2018. And mind you, had that Direct not been delayed a week, we would have known about it a week before. I didn't do the math on that, so I'm going to skip that for now. But since that moment, since that day, it has been 129 days as of Sunday, which is when we record for everybody. And then 131 days for anybody listening now that this episode is out. And we're like, you know, we're almost halfway through that first triple digits number.
Yeah, and not only that, that's more than a third of the year, which is crazy.
Yeah, we are literally... it's insane how long that is. That's like more than 3 months, right?
Yes.
Because it's third, that's a quarter. So it's been longer than 3 months. And then I should have done this calculation just to see like how long it's been since we got a Nintendo Direct. Was the last one just that like Smash Direct?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I think that must have been it, right? In November. And then everybody was waiting for that second Direct that never came.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so Smash was the last Direct we got. Man, I want 2 Animal Crossing Directs for Animal Crossing, of course. Come on, that'd be awesome. So anyways, I don't know. I guess what are you thinking at this point? We are waiting so long to get some news. Do you think we're going to see a Direct this month still, or do you think it's being pushed off? Do you think it's still going to show Animal Crossing? Where are you?
Well, it's a little bit hard to say at this point, but I kind of made my choice that I think we're not going to see a full Direct this month. We might see a mini, we might see an Indies Direct for, you know, Nintendo indie games, and that might be towards the end of the month. But what kind of killed any expectations for me was the fact that Nintendo announced some dates for Yoshi's Crafted World and for Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. And they kind of just put them out on Twitter and on the social media. Hey, these games are coming out in March. Like, Kirby's coming out early March. Yoshi's coming out on March 29. And to me, that kind of told me that they're not doing a big direct this month because if I was Nintendo, I would have saved those date announcements for a direct. So yeah, I think there's gonna be either a mini or an Indies direct, and I think the next big direct with a lot of announcements and including Animal Crossing, I'm going to pin that in early March.
Man, that's so long. uh, but I don't know. Yeah, I kind of believe that too. I guess I'm just like wondering what's going on. It seems really weird that we're waiting this long for a direct. Let alone one that's gonna have something about what we care about most, essentially.
Yes.
So I don't know. What's strange to me about it is that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe Forever and so forth, and Travis Strikes Again. Those seem like the last kind of big Nintendo-driven things. I mean, I know Travis Strikes Again isn't really being made by Nintendo or anything, but they've supported it in a big way.
Right.
Even like, all right, Travis Strikes Again. I haven't played it. I don't know much about that franchise because I just haven't played it too much. But what I do know is that the first time we saw, and I'm saying saw in quotation marks here, the first time we saw Travis Strikes Again was the reveal of the Nintendo Switch, which was in January 2017, right?
Yes.
And we saw like a picture of this Travis dude. I forget his full name. It's not Strikes Again. But we saw a picture of him, and then Suda51, the guy who like created him, that character, those games that he's from, he's just like on stage telling us that this game is coming. So, I don't know. I guess that's the only significance there with Nintendo. Like, Nintendo took the time to have this guy show up at the big reveal of their new console, you know?
Right.
And now that game's out, and their other game is out, and instead of, like, giving us a new, I guess, slate of things to look forward to for the year, or the season at least, like spring or something, they're just like, oh yeah, here's Yoshi. It's coming. And I don't know, I guess it's just weird to me, you know, that there's really like not really anything going on. It seems like I don't know, I guess I just question that strategy because to me I'm like, you just came off of a holiday season with Pokemon and Smash. Like clearly a lot of kids got this console. I'm sure their holiday sales were good, you know?
Yes.
It seems strange to like, I don't know why they're waiting so long to be like, oh yeah, so you enjoy this console, but now here's everything to look forward to. And maybe they're like kind of banking off of like, you have big games like Zelda and Mario that are already out there. And I don't know, maybe they're just not seeing a need to really hype up the Switch right now.
That's a good point.
But I feel like they do need that because for everybody who already had the Switch prior, like 2018 was a slow year.
Yes.
Outside of like the last 3 months, there was really not that much. Like there was Kirby, Mario Tennis Aces, and Donkey Kong, one of which was a port. One of them is Kirby, which is huge, you know, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed in it. And then Mario Tennis Aces, kind of the same thing as Kirby. Some people were disappointed in it, but it's just slow, you know?
Yes.
And so that's what's making me like feel weird about it, where I don't know why we're not hearing anything. And them just revealing that the date for Yoshi is in March, that does make me worry that they're just gonna not say anything until March.
Right, exactly.
But the thing with that is I would pinpoint this direct, like if they're waiting and they just gave us some Yoshi news just because they needed to put out news, I would guess end of February, early March is when they're talking about things, because they have to show off Yoshi again, you know.
Yes.
They have to get that hyped. And then in that, whatever presentation that is, that's their chance to tell us, okay, here's what's coming up later in the year. Yes. But that's like 2 months into the year before getting anything. But at the same time, them waiting that long, it makes me more confident that we're going to see Animal Crossing Switch
Oh,
in that.
that's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so though we're gonna wait forever, uh, I feel like we're going to see Animal Crossing at the end of this wait.
Yes, that's true. So the next big Nintendo moment, very, very likely, you're right, is gonna have Animal Crossing finally.
Yeah, they've got to. Like, they can't keep us waiting that long because at that point, like, we literally know nothing. We know zero about what's coming up later in the year, you know?
Yeah.
Outside of, like, we know essentially what games they were planning for 2019, but as far as, like, release dates and more trailers and stuff, like, we haven't seen the rest of the games very much. We haven't seen Fire Emblem very much. We haven't seen Animal Crossing at all.
Hmm.
We haven't seen, what else? Pokemon? Which,
Pokemon. Hmm.
yeah, Pokemon Company usually handles that, but I don't know. I'm just like, there's nothing going on, Nintendo. It's a good time to get the world. And you
Yeah.
know what? We're talking about this Sunday, and my big thing is like they're probably just going to be like tomorrow announce a direct between this episode, and then by the time this goes up, everybody's just going to hear us complaining about
About
this.
nothing.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't know. Ugh.
Yeah.
And it sucks to wait.
Yeah, and there's only so long they can go without talking more about these games that we know. We've known for years. Even Metroid Prime 4, we've known that one even the longest. And we haven't seen anything. We don't know anything. It's time to start learning about these games. And of course, the main one, the most important to us, is Animal Crossing. And it's time, Nintendo. So, yeah, definitely not longer than early March, I would say. You're going to hear about it.
Yeah, I'd say I always keep like a list of things. So what we haven't really seen yet on that side or the Nintendo side is Fire Emblem Three Houses, Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion 3. We kind of got the teaser trailer thing. Pokemon, Metroid Prime 4, and Bayonetta 3, and so I don't know. Whenever they have their first thing, I feel like it's gonna just be a whole lot of things,
Right.
which is exciting, and I'm glad. But I don't know. Just waiting for it is getting harder.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. I guess I don't know. Are you thinking it's going to be? Yeah, I don't know. I guess you already said it's going to be March, right? Maybe March.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's gonna be time for a lot of details, maybe a couple of surprises for later in the year. I don't think Nintendo is gonna be happy if all we get in 2019 is the games we know about. I mean, they could announce a couple of things for 2020, but I always see Nintendo announcing a couple of smaller quote unquote games for the same year, so we can still see some surprises.
Yeah, and I just remembered you mentioned the Nindies kind of direct, and I could see them just throwing one of those in there. There are
Hmm.
tons and tons of indie games coming to Switch all the time, literally every day,
Right.
pretty much every day. But, uh, uh, and I guess thinking with that, like there are some cool games, I guess indie games that feel like they might kind of fill that Animal Crossing void for a little bit. Like there's Mineko's Night Market.
Yes, exactly.
That one, like if you go to Steam right now and look up Mineko's Night Market, Mineko and
Hmm.
then S. But anyways, if you go and look that up, their description literally says like an Animal Crossing inspired world or something like that. So that game looks cute. There are lots of kitty cats. I love kitty cats. And you plant them in a garden and then they grow and then you pick them and they're a cat. Um, so I don't know if we saw like an indie direct with like some cool kind of life sim things. I feel like that would kind of fill the void for now, but
Hmm.
overall we just need something new.
Right. And on
Yeah.
the last Nindies Direct, or I think even the second to last, so the last two they've done, there were a lot of games slated for release either late 2018 and early 2019, and we still a couple of them got delayed or haven't come out yet. So it's time to start getting some dates for those as well.
Yeah. So yeah, we're in a drought right now. We need some news, and that's putting us in a mood where we're just going to keep complaining today. So let's go into our next topic, and we're going to talk about things that bother us in Animal Crossing. And it's funny, Sergio, because you came up with this topic, and I was like, what? I don't have any complaints about Animal Crossing. What are you talking about? There's nothing wrong with this game. It's perfect. But then I started thinking about things, and I'm like, oh, there are some little things that we could change. And I'm sure a lot of you who are listening, like, I'm sure you have your complaints about Animal Crossing. Like, we love the game overall, don't get us wrong, but there's some things that can be improved. So,
Right.
Yeah, maybe I'll start because somehow my list got longer than yours, Sergio. I don't know how that happened. I guess I had some complaints, but my first one is going to be placing public works projects. This is something we've mentioned before, and this is something that was brand new to New Leaf. Like, we never got to do this before,
Yes.
So essentially, when we go to Isabel, we say, hey, we want to build something. She's like, cool, what you want to build? And then you look through your list and you pick something out, like, say, a windmill, And then you go out walking with Isabel. You know what? Now that I think about it, it's like you're walking your dog. It's so cute. Anyway, so you go on a walk with Isabel. Now I'm thinking that's adorable. So anyways, you go on your walk with Isabel, and you stop somewhere, and you're like, I want to build something here. And then she's like, no, this rock's too close, or it's too close to this building, or it's too close to this and that. And
Right.
The river's right there. You can't put a windmill next to a river. What are you thinking? And so essentially, like, Isabel's just like, no, you can't build here.
Right.
And so you finally find a spot, and she's like, oh, this looks great. We might need to move, like, some of the greenery and stuff. And you're like, that's fine. There's, like, a flower here, whatever. And then you can see what it would look like, what that thing would look like there. But you can't really, like, grasp it, Like, isn't that, like, a strange scene where you see the building that you see the windmill, and then you're just like, I can't tell if I like it here.
Right.
Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, because it's like it's only showing you that, and it's going out of its way to not show you what's around it.
Yeah. It's like it's so focused in that, and there's no way to, like, zoom in, zoom out, move the camera a little bit, take a look at it. So, you know what I end up doing? I dig holes around the area, and I'm just like, I need the front of my public works project to be at the same point as this hole right here. And so I'll kind of, like, space things out myself just by digging holes like that, And then Isabel puts it there, and I'm like, okay, cool. If I say yes here, it's going to show up exactly where I want it.
Right.
But it's so hard to get things in the right place. And then after, like, say you, because I've done this before, like, I wanted to put a lamppost somewhere, and then I was like, yeah, that looks fine. And then the gyroid shows up for your donation, and you're just like, what is this? This is not where I wanted you. Like, you place something, it's in a bad spot, and then you have to go to Isabel and say, hey, I want to cancel this project. Right. And then she's like, okay, we'll cancel it. Come back tomorrow to do anything else. And you have to wait a whole day on that fix, And that puts you a day behind on what you wanted to do. And it's such a bummer that there's so many problems that arise just because you can't take a look at where you placed a project,
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Everything would be pretty much resolved in terms of public works placement. Like you said, if we could zoom out a little bit or move the camera around or just have it laid out, and you can even walk around before you decide, yes, this is the spot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it'd be nice to actually get a scene where we can, like, test it out and see what it looks like and be like, oh, you know what? I want to move it back a little bit. And, this reminds me, a long time ago, I came up with, like, a little plan that was like a diorama type of thing. And you're just sitting in your mayor's office, and you have a diorama of your town. You have a little model of your whole town. And then on that diorama, you could place something. And so it would give you, like, a whole little grid, say, like, it's Happy Home Designer, and you're using the touch screen to place an item, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it'd give you a grid and you'd see the whole town and be able to be like, all right, this is where I want to place this public works project. And then Isabel's like, oh, I think that's a great place. I'll get the work going tomorrow. Or preferably today. But, knowing Animal Crossing, it's going to be tomorrow.
Right.
So anyways, I don't know. Yeah, that's all. I would think it would be cool to do that. And it'd give us like a view of the town that we don't usually get to see it in,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It would just make it easier to place public works. It'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, yes, definitely, because you could see how many exactly the grid layout of where it's gonna be, how many you need, and then you can decide, oh, I want it here or there, and it could show you, like it could highlight non-build zone areas, like with red marks where you cannot build based on surrounding buildings or rocks, etc. So you could get a much easier understanding for making a decision of where to place it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, that would be really helpful. Like, if
Yeah.
it said you just can't build in this spot, and it would just keep you aware of like what you can and can't do in your town.
Right.
Because I think that's mostly the problem. Like, you go out walking with Isabel, and then she's like, no, 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 no. And then all of a sudden, yes. And you're like, yes, finally. And then it's the wrong spot.
Right. It's not exactly the way you want it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think I just want it improved. And New Leaf did a great job. I hate it's going to be hard for me this episode because I'm not a big complainer. But it was the first time we essentially got this type of feature in the game, and they pulled it off. Like, we were able to do some cool things, and I'm sure they've identified ways to make it better.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so let's go to you, Sergio. What's your first complaint about Animal Crossing?
So my first one is that during winter, it pretty much snows all the time. Or if it's not snowing, there's snow on the ground pretty much all the time. There's no grass at all. And, I guess I get it. And it's nice for, because people that do have a lot of snow, then it's very lifelike. For those that don't have it, it's nice to see snow and to actually experience it, at least in the game, more often than it happens wherever you live. But I think it should be a little more balanced. I think it shouldn't snow all the time. It should be maybe most of the week, but not all of the week. So there could be a couple of days when some of the snow actually starts to clear up, and I want to see some of the green grass beneath it again. So it could keep clearing, or eventually you could see it building up again because it's snowing again. So just a little more lifelike, more random, like real weather. I just want a little more variety in terms of the snow.
Yeah, and me thinking about this, like, I live in a place that snows right now, and right now there isn't really too much snow on the ground. It snowed probably, it snowed last week, about a week ago, so... And, now that it hasn't snowed for a little bit, some of that has disappeared.
Right.
But what I like the best about this is my favorite bushes. I have two bushes that are my favorites in this game. I like the sweet olive starts and the holly bushes.
Ooh.
But the holly bushes, like, they get the little red berries and they look really cute. They look all like green and red, all festive,
Right.
But as soon as it starts snowing, you don't get to enjoy that view anymore. Like, for the rest of the winter until, like, the last couple weeks or so when the snow finally melts,
Right.
So, yeah, I would love that. Like, if it were a bit more realistic with the snow, like, say, oh, it snowed on Monday, but by Thursday, the snow's kind of melted,
Right.
But, and then it's, like, you get to enjoy some of the greenery that you have planted on there. It doesn't look all... the same, just like covered in snow all the time.
Right.
Which, and it doesn't get rid of the fact that things can be covered in snow because I still want to see it, but it's nice to think of it like having a variety.
Yes, and it should be enough to still be able to build a snow woman and man and the snow family every day. If the snow it's clearing up, if it's starting to disappear, maybe it would be a little harder, a little more difficult. But you should still be able to do it because that's a nice winter-only event that happens.
Yeah, definitely. I would, and Yeah, right now there's still like some snow. I could build a little tiny snowman if I want. So, yeah, I love that. Did you have anything else to say about that before I hop into my next one?
No, that's about it on that one.
Okay, cool. So my next one's pretty quick. It's a tiny complaint. When we swim to the edge and we can't catch that thing we're chasing because we're trying to dive
Yes.
for something, and then it just swims past that little barrier and you can't get it. That makes me sad.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? It feels like they do it on purpose. When they're close to the edge, they just go for it and they never come back.
Yeah, and you swim up to it and you're like, I'm not quite there. Like I could get you. I would swim over that barrier. I'm
Yeah.
a rule breaker. So, yeah, that's my quick one. You can get into the next one. I've got like four more still, so.
Nice. So the next one on my list is the limit on placing bushes. And what I mean by that is I understand there's a limit at the certain number that you can put next to each other, and it's because basically Nintendo doesn't want you to fence a villager surrounded by bushes or like a house or a building without the ability to either enter it or exit it. So in a way that makes sense, but I think the game should be smart enough to tell when you're just doing a line alongside your paths to sort of to decorate them, to have like a little fence around your paths where you're not really blocking anyone or a part of your town. So I think the game should be able to tell that and should allow you to do as long a line of bushes as you really needed to, just for decoration.
Yeah, I agree with this completely. And at first, reading yours, it scared me because I was like, wait, can I not put enough bushes to do what I'm trying to do in Animal Crossing?
Right.
But I realized that you meant that, like, you can only put so many in a row before it's like, nope, this one's not going to grow.
Right. Right.
Um, and yeah, that's a bummer because I run into that a lot because I'm trying to line, like, every single path in my town with bushes. And I don't know. It's just a bummer whenever I have to like. There's a break in it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, how do I fill the space in? I guess I'll put a flower,
Right.
just to make it feel full. But I'm like, I don't really want people to get off my path. Like that's why the
Right.
path is here.
Right. Right. And or yeah, you try to like justify like what can I put here so it looks like the break makes sense. And if you don't want to, you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, and I try to do that around my home for a little while, but I feel like there was one spot where the bushes would not grow. And it
Hmm.
must have been that point where it was just like, nope, you need a break right here.
Right.
And so I was like, man, but I had this whole like symmetrical thing going on, and now you're
Aw.
telling me I can't do that? That's, I guess that's all right. Animal Crossing. So, yeah, I agree. I want to
Yeah.
see better bush placement for sure.
Yes.
And I guess you know what? I'm gonna skip my next one because I have one that kind of relates to this bush placement one, and that is that trees need too much space to grow.
Yes.
Essentially, they're like in a 3 by 3 block.
Right.
They can be planted in a space, and then essentially every space around the tree like cannot be taken up by something other than a flower. So you can
Oh,
put
yes.
flowers around
Right.
trees;
Right.
those are fine. But anything else, like you can't really put things near them. Which I don't know. Sometimes you put something like a hammock, and you're like, I want to put a tree like right behind there, so it looks like it's hanging on a tree.
Right.
It would
Oh.
make sense. Um, but I guess the big thing that bothers me is in population growing, there was a lot more freedom with where trees could be planted and where they could grow.
Oh.
Like if you just load up like a random town, brand new town in Animal Crossing population growing, you can run to the northern portion of town and find at least one tree that's growing right next to that fence that's like blocking you from running onto the
Oh.
railroad
Gotcha.
tracks.
Oh.
So like you can plant trees really close to things, like a tree will grow like right next to a building, and sometimes something really cool happens where a tree will grow partially but never full grown,
Mm.
based on where it's planted.
Right. Right.
um, and typically that happens when it's like right next to a building or something, but I'm like, that is so cool. All I want in Animal Crossing is different sized trees, and the first game kind of gave us that, you know?
Right.
Like we got different sized trees in the first game, and it was awesome. It was very like random and depended on where you planted them, but still, it happened, and I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's my next complaint. I want more freedom with where the trees grow. And I essentially noticed it when playing Happy Home Designer, where I was like, man, I want to put trees everywhere, but you have to like really find a spot for them
Yes,
because they
exactly.
take up a lot of room, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah, so that's my next complaint.
Nice. And my next one is it's also related to trees. And it's basically the fact that sometimes you come to a space in the grass where a tree should be able to grow, and for whatever reason it just doesn't. So what I remember is, like a lot of us do when we start playing the game, we have a little orchard and we have a lot of trees next to each other with exotic fruits, just to have an easy way of making quick money. When we start in a new Animal Crossing game. And in New
Hmm.
Leaf, I ran into a couple of times when I had this perfect orchard. I want to say at least five trees um, on a row and five on a column. So it was 5 by 5. And there were some spots where a tree wouldn't grow. And I know I left enough space for it. There weren't any rocks. It wasn't close by the river. It was just surrounded by trees, but one spot in the middle, it just wouldn't grow. And it looked really weird, to have this almost perfect orchard and there's this little spot where I cannot place anything in there, or it just wouldn't grow, and I never understood why. I don't know if that's happened to you before.
Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there might be just spots that are random where things just won't grow, and it's
Right.
weird because I'm like, well, why are you limiting us? We want to be awesome.
Yeah, and we're taking into account the space that we need to, which is a lot as it is, and even then we still have this mysterious dead zone for trees, which I don't get. But yeah, I hope that's maybe a glitch or something they can fix on the next
Yeah, and I think the weird thing is like you said, like we're trying to play by these rules that exist for how to plant things in the world, you know?
Yes.
But then all of a sudden there are all these ways that they don't follow the rules themselves. And yeah, it's an annoyance. And then even in the old games, or I guess in the old version of Animal Crossing before Welcome Amiibo, you had you could make your orchard and everything, and then somebody would just move in and ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now the game can actually tell when you've got like an orchard going, and so they won't move in. Um, at least I haven't heard they could move in
Right.
right on your trees. So yeah, I feel like it's improving a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You know what? We're talking about trees a lot because my next one's also about trees. And this is my next complaint is that the cherry blossoms just don't last long enough. I feel like
Mm.
spring to me in Animal Crossing is kind of the least memorable season. Um, and it's probably just because, like, it's just the same as summer essentially. Like, everything's still green,
Mm-hmm.
just you make less money in the spring because all the really good stuff comes out in the summer,
Right.
you know? So fall and winter, they have very distinct looks. Like autumn, like
Yes.
everything starts to turn all brown and red and awesome, and there are mushrooms growing, and there are all these special things happening. And then winter, like you complained about earlier, there's snow all over the place. Um, and so like those just have a look to them. But then we get to spring and it's just kind of the same thing. And then for 1 week, there are cherry blossoms blooming all over the place and it looks awesome. And then it's like a windy day or like the cherry blossoms are falling from the
Yes.
sky, you know, and just blowing around. And it's magical. It looks great.
Yes.
It's so cool. And then the week passes by and then it's all gone all of
Right.
a sudden. Like it's just you don't get that anymore. Um, you get 1 week that's good in spring. And then so yeah, I guess I would just like spring to be something more distinguished, something that we
Yes.
can look forward to and be like, man, things are gonna look awesome in the spring. Like it's gonna be a totally different town, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's true. It would be nice to have a more distinct look to the grass that doesn't repeat over summer. They could be different enough. There could be a lot more wind. Things could react to the wind more during the spring. It could just have this magical renewal type of look after so much snow. It would be nice.
Yeah, and it kind of does give that off because it's like the first time we're seeing green in months.
Right, right.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe I just want it to last a bit longer. Maybe make it 2 weeks. That would be nice.
Right, right. Or just at random times, maybe during spring.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely, the more the merrier.
Yeah. So what is your next complaint?
So my next one is maybe I'm reaching on this one. It might be a little minor, and it probably doesn't happen to a lot of people because a lot of Animal Crossing players wear shoes in the game. But mine is that Gracie requires you to actually wear either a hat. Actually, she requires you to wear a hat in an accessory. So that's one, and also shoes before she does the fashion check, and before you can pass that one. And I would never wear shoes in Animal Crossing, and I don't even carry them with me, so I don't even have them on my person to wear them. So whenever I had to pass the fashion check, I had to either go buy some or get some from storage, and it was a little bit annoying. I don't know. I just think it should still be possible to quote unquote be fashionable, maybe just without shoes. I mean, a hat or an accessory, I kind of get that one, but maybe even without those, I mean, anything goes. Especially because most of the villagers only wear shirts, so I think you should be able to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Like villagers don't wear very much. It's just a little bit. Um, so yeah, yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Like I never wear hats in Animal Crossing. Oh, it's pretty rare that I wear
Hmm.
hats in
Hmm.
Animal Crossing, because I don't really wear hats in just real life.
Right.
Um, so naturally I don't really, and like hair, people are stylish with their hair,
Yeah.
and it'd be pretty cool to see like, I don't know, you could get like a certain haircut for one of those fashion challenges and
Oh.
show that off. Like, I don't know. It just feels like it's limiting us by only letting us use hats.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So it would be cool. All right. My next one, I'm still talking about trees here, but this is probably my biggest complaint from the game. And it's that pine trees don't grow on the southern half of town. For the first month of New Leaf, I made my first town and I put my house kind of in the south near the beach, sort of like on the cliff of it,
Right.
but
Oh, nice.
mostly between that and the river because I wanted to like give myself like a private little space for me, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I would try to plant the cedar saplings all around my place and then they would all die. And I was like, what is going on here? And I was looking into it, and at some point I read that just the southern half of town does not let you grow those cedar saplings.
Hmm.
And then I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I'm a month into this game. I've made so much progress, and now, more than ever, I want to restart.
Oh,
I
wow.
just wanted to make a new town to fix that because I just wasn't gonna get the aesthetic that I wanted
Mm,
in my character, you know? I
right.
just wanted them to live by a river with like pine trees all over the place. And I can't do it. And I guess I haven't checked if it's been updated since Welcome
Hmm.
Amiibo.
Right.
Maybe I should. I'm gonna do that this week. I've got to, and I will come back to you on that one. But as of right now, I know that I was emotionally torn at the beginning of this game because I just wanted so badly to plant these trees that I was about to delete everything.
Yeah, that tells you how annoying you were. How annoyed you were because you were willing to restart just for that. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I was about to. All right, so I think the next one is that your last complaint?
I thought of another one, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
probably my biggest one. So yeah. But the next one on my list is regarding Joan and turnips. And it's only the fact that you're only able to buy them between 6 a.m. and noon on Sundays. I guess it's a good amount of time. But I think part of the fun of buying turnips is actually finding Joan around your town. And that could take a little while. She's kind of sneaky. So, if you only have 6 hours and a lot of us, well, I do, but a lot of people don't wake up too early on Sundays. So that already cuts your time a lot. And especially if you want to invite friends over, if you have a really good price for turnips, that limits you a lot. So I'm thinking that it would be better if it's between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. That's still not the entire day, but I think a 12-hour window, it's a much improved than just 6.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. Like sometimes I don't even get back from I don't know. Sometimes I'm doing stuff in Sunday mornings, like going to church and that sort of thing, and
Hmm.
I just don't get back in time to buy turnips. Or maybe I have like 10 minutes to do it, and I'm like, how am I going to get as many turnips as I want to do what I want to do? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. It's tough to have it so limited to that certain time, and I guess I wonder if they're going to like adopt more of a realistic stock market type of thing where you can trade things daily between certain hours.
Right.
Um,
Oh.
and I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know how it would work with that economy because it's very much dependent on you taking that risk every week and being like, oh, is this the week that it goes up all the way? You know?
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I wonder what they're going to do, but it'd be pretty cool to just like at least increase the amount of time that you can buy turnips on Sundays.
Yeah, in I just thought of more regarding turnips. Also allow you to bundle more of them because there were a lot of times when it's a really good price and you have the money, but you have to go get it, and you're kind of limited by your inventory. So you have to, because it takes space to have the bell bags in there and also the turnips. So you kind of have to do it a bunch of times. And if they could improve the inventory or the stacking of turnips that you buy, that would reduce the back and forth.
Yeah, that's true. That would be, and you know what? Maybe they just completely remove our need to worry about inventory, you
Right.
know?
Yes.
And so then we would just have the room to get as many turnips as we want on that day.
Yeah, and maybe Joan could take debit cards now. At least debit.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, so I have one last complaint, and this one's not about trees. I had a lot to say about trees. But this last one is just that Cap'n needs to not be creepy. And if you ever go to like the island with a female villager, Cap'n just makes it pretty uncomfortable for everybody. Like, I don't know, he needs to not do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be fixed. And I, I don't know. I guess the game must have been made at a point when they thought it was all right, but I don't think Nintendo at this point will do that again.
Yes, that's a good point.
So it should be better in the next one, but yeah, he just needs to not be creepy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into our final thing for this show, and that is Haken's Villager Corner. For everybody who is new to the show, every week we ask a question to our supporters on Patreon, and they give us answers, and we read through them and, respond and do our thing. And this week's question, I want to say sorry first off, because just in case your question is not read today, I don't know, Patreon was like acting up and people were posting, but then they were disappearing. And so that hasn't happened before. I'm keeping my eye out on it for now, on the next one, but I'm hoping it doesn't happen again. So if I missed your question, it's because it disappeared and Patreon messed it up. It's all their fault.
Yes.
So anyways, this week's question is, what species of villager would you like added to the game? You can also choose existing species that don't have villagers associated with them, such as owls and porcupines. And I gave the example of like Blathers and the Able sisters.
Yes.
So anyways, do you want to start by reading off the first one?
Yes, and the first one is by Grizzly Nina, and she says, I love raccoons. I think it would be super cute to see a group of similar animal species that could also include red pandas, ringtail cats, and maybe even lemurs. I don't think it would be too hard to make them look different from Tom Nook's Tanuki template.
Yeah, raccoons are pretty great. I mean, like technically Tom Nook and Timmy and Tommy aren't raccoons, but having I guess a variety of those would be awesome.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of forgot to ask you, like, what do you think? What kind of species do you want added?
The one that comes to mind first and foremost is foxes. You know, Red is one. He's a tanuki, which is Japanese for fox, but he doesn't really look like one. He looks a little strange. I want to see him. I want to see foxes look like a combination between Red and Chief, which is technically a wolf, but he kind of looks like a fox. He's sort of white and orange colored. So something like that. I definitely think there's room for a variety of foxes in the game.
Yeah, I think so for sure. There Yeah, I think one of the biggest bummers with the, I guess, special characters being unique animals is that you just don't get to see other varieties of those animals.
Right.
And I want to see that. For me, I guess I would say turtles/tortoises. Like right
Oh,
now,
yes.
Tortimer's on his last legs. I hope he doesn't disappear. Because I just want to see more turtles in the game. I want to see more tortoises. I want to see those. Those are some of my favorite animals.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my pick. I would want to see them get like the villager treatment because we could get so many cool ones. Like they
Yes.
could have different looking shells and stuff, and there's just so many cool things that you could do with their design.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and read Dragonflame's answer. And he says, I would be happy if they added more kinds of dragons. Of course, he would say that. There's only the one, right? Drago? Or maybe more lizards/snakes in general. I think that would be pretty cool. And yeah, I guess we don't get like too many reptilian creatures. Like we have alligators. Are there others that I'm not thinking of? I guess there's Nat, who's the chameleon.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of Nat, I don't know.
No,
And
and there's definitely room for that.
yeah, so we definitely need to see more of that.
Yes. The next answer is by Cyberjiro, and he says, I really just want bats and foxes to be added to the game. But I also love the answers from Nina and Dragon. Raccoons and dragons/lizards would be really cool. And bats. I think that would be my number second or my number two. I definitely want bats in the game as well.
Yeah, that would be really great. That'd be a completely new one that we haven't
Yeah.
seen before. And badgers, or no, sorry, I skipped one. Um, yeah, lizards, cool. Raccoons,
Yes.
dragons, all of them awesome. Dragons, it would be interesting because we don't get
Yeah.
like too many of those like mythical creatures. We've got like Julian, who's a unicorn,
Mhm.
Drago, who's kind of a dragon, and yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see a little bit more of those mythical themes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of jumped ahead, but Emily with one Y said, I would love to see badgers. It would be cool if they only came out at night. And that is pretty interesting because there are some animals already that would fit into that like nocturnal
Ooh.
category. Like raccoons, they're pretty nocturnal. They're only really coming out at night.
Right, right.
But yeah, I guess there are some that could fit that. But at the same time, I guess my main worry is that like some people don't play at night, some people don't play during the day, and it'd be kind of
Mm.
sad to just like miss out on seeing and enjoying some of your villagers.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I guess I've always kind of liked the different sleeping schedules that villagers could have. because there's some that stay up like really late or wake up really early, you know?
Right.
So it's fun to see that variety.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The next answer is by Sarah, and she says, I really like to see some long-haired cats and dogs added to the game. Even if they don't add brand new species of animals to Animal Crossing Switch, different variations of current species would be great. And that's true. We already have cats, dogs, bears. They could make them look different. Like long hair would be great, short hair, anything.
Yeah, that's true. And that kind of goes that same route with the dragon, where we have Drago, who's kind of that alligator body type, but is just like supposed to be kind of a different animal. So it'd be
Right.
interesting to see more different types of cats and dogs. I mean, those are probably the ones we have the most of,
Yes.
but still, like getting that variety is still fun.
Right, right.
Yeah, so Jam says, I would like to see sloths because I think Leaf is adorable. Blathers and Celeste are two of my favorite characters, so I would like owls too. I really love Pascal, so otter villagers would be really cute to see. Just give me all the animals. And that's a really good list. Like sloths, I'm surprised we haven't come up with that one. That's a really great choice.
Yes.
Leaf is the only one, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of sad I don't see him enough. I want him to have his own shop again because by the end he's got like
Yes.
he doesn't have his own shop and that makes me
Right.
sad. So yeah, I don't know. What other ones were listed in this? Otters are great.
Yes.
I think those would be really fun to have, and then owls, owls too. Like we don't see a lot of owls outside of them.
Yeah. I think there's a point when Nintendo is gonna have to add new species to the game and also make these special characters into species for regular villagers. So I'm hoping that Animal Crossing Switch does at least one of them. I would be happy with at least one. Maybe they could just go ahead and do both already. That'd be even better.
Yeah, we never know how many new villagers we're gonna get in the game, so
Yeah,
I'm excited to see them.
for sure. And the next and last answer is by Infinite Mallet, and they say, I think I just really want them to allow normal villagers to be the same species as the special characters. If I had to pick one, I would say foxes, but really there are so many awesome species locked behind the special characters. So yeah, we said raccoons, otters, sloths, all of those are just only because they're the special characters. I wonder if Nintendo regrets that, but I think it's time to fix that. It's what better opportunity than this brand new, highly, highly anticipated game.
Yeah, and I think now is the time. Like they
Yeah,
have so much power with the Switch. It's going to be able to handle so many things and it's going to be super cool to see just like where they take it and what we're going to be able to do in the game. It's going to be
right.
great. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. All right. So, did you have anything else to say about any of the topics that we've covered today?
No, that's it. Just like we said, we're waiting, and we're gonna be right there with everyone. If there's a direct, any kind of Animal Crossing rumors, hints, anything, we're fishing for it. So we'll bring it to you for sure.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a complainy episode. We're sorry about that, but sometimes you just got to because there is no news going on right now. And like Sergio saying, we're going to be right there with everybody. As soon as this
Yes.
happens, it's going to be very exciting to be hyped with everyone.
Yes, for sure.
So thank you all so much for listening. If you want to be part of the conversation on all things Animal Crossing, please join the Discord. I have a link in the description of this podcast. It's totally free to join. You don't have to be a patron. And if you do join, you can get Sergio and my friend codes. If you do want to be a patron, visit patreon.com/ChewiePlaysNintendo. For just $1, you can support our show and get tons of cool things. You can see our current goals to improve the show and our content. We try to really make it worth it because we appreciate your support. If you are watching or listening on YouTube, please leave a comment about your own complaints about Animal Crossing. And please leave a review of the show wherever you're listening. It helps the show gain some visibility and allows our community to grow. And once again, thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.